I was checking out your website and looking through some of your stuff, and your music has remained popular through the decades, really.
I'm very lucky that it has. I really have. My manager was Bill Graham.
Yeah.
The original Bill Graham, who unfortunately died, in a helicopter accident back in the early '90s. But we always made sure that we had a couple of singles on the record, which was always great. I did a lot of rock, but during the disco era, I put on that song "Maybe I'm a Fool," and it was on "Life of the Taken," which was a really heavy record. But I've always made sure that we had singles on the radio, which is great.
And it's
because during the week I'd be in a top 40 band, and then on the weekends I'd be playing all my original stuff in the rock clubs. So it was the best of both worlds.
Were you surprised that it sort of has held up? Even Hinder, I saw did the
Yeah, Hinder's the big Eddie Money fans, Oklahoma City boys. Yeah, they're a lot of fun, huh?
That's very very.
They're out there rocking and rolling. Staggermeister, what do they call that stuff that they drink? I don't know what's going on, but they're young enough to do that, But they're big fans, and I thought they did a really good set. And they're very homegrown too. They're like their parents built their set for them and everything else like that. So it brings me back to my parents helping me out too. So they're a great bunch of kids. I think they did Take Me Home Tonight.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually pulled up the footage and saw that. That's very very cool. I'm just curious. Are you surprised that it sort of maintained the popularity throughout?
Well, I think the Take Me Home Tonight was always a big hit for me because I had Ronnie Spector doing the Be My Little Babies.
Absolutely.
We actually used Martha Davis from the Motels. It was because originally I said, why don't we see if we can get a hold of Ronnie Spector? And I called her up, and she heard a bunch of clinking and clanking. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm doing the dishes, because she had dropped out of the business and had a couple of kids. And I talked her into coming back, and she did that big video with me with the door coming up and all the smoke, and she looked fantastic, and she did the Take Me Home Tonight. And she was very gracious when she got inducted into the Hall of Fame to thank me. I thought that was really, she was such a sweetheart. And, she was married to Phil Spector, which was been a real nightmare for her, but she's really a sweetheart. And I'm very lucky to have the hits that I've had, and we got a lot of airplay on FM radio, which wasn't, there was AM radio, which is where you had a Baby Hold On, or Two Tickets to Paradise, or Take Me Home Tonight. But FM radio would do songs like Give Me Some Water, which I just finished doing with Vince Gill, which really came out great. And when I think about it, I used Nicky Hopkins, who was a great keyboard player. Unfortunately, he died of stomach cancer. And David Lindley played on the original track. David Lindley is like a really famous flight player. He played with Jackson Browne and a bunch of other Running on Empty and stuff like that. And it was a real pleasure to get out here. And when I used these musicians in Nashville, we had guys playing for us in the morning, and they were so good. I said, we can't lose these guys. We got to have them play the night sessions. And they're going, no, we got a bunch of new people coming in at night. And I was going, oh my God, I was praying these guys are going to suck. But the quality of musicianship is just really amazing in Nashville.
I was going to ask you, have you recorded in Nashville before?
No, I never really have. I've done a little bit of work. I've done some charity stuff with Vince Gill, and I've watched Garth Brooks when he played baseball with the Padres. Back in spring training, but to tell you the truth, playing with John, what's his name?
John Forcola.
John Forcola. He put in like a really great bunch of harmonies that sound like the Eagles, and the way he produced it is like things that I would never think of doing. And when the record came out, it didn't really. I don't know what really country sounds like. I listen to Brooks and Dunn right now, and some people, but to tell you the truth, it just sounds like early Eddie Money. I've always been into rockabilly.
Sure.
I used to love, Elvis when he did Don't Be Cruel and All Shook Up and stuff like that, We'll take these ribbons from my hair. A lot of people made the country charts, and I never realized it was country when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
When it made the charts in New York City, Gotta Sing to Big Bismarck or Big Bad John. I was into songs like that when I was a kid.
Sure.
I didn't know there were country songs,
Right.
Or He'll Have to Go, songs like that, so I was always influenced by country, but I never knew it was really country when I was a kid growing up because it was on top 10 radio,
Sure.
And my wife's from Nashville. She's from
really?
She's from Madison, so I spent a lot of time here.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
My bus driver had to pull over because he cried for 2 hours when Vanderbilt lost to Arkansas the other day.
Well, that other game was made it worth it, didn't it, when they won, when they beat Memphis?
Right, I love that. That was really fantastic.
That was amazing. Well, tell me about the new project. I know the last project you did, I was reading about, you did a bunch of the really classic.
Yeah, actually I did a
60s
song
and-
called Wanna Go Back, and it included stuff that I did with a group I had in high school called the Grapes of Wrath. And the
Yeah.
guys are still around. The drummer unfortunately died in Vietnam, but everybody else is still around. And we did songs like Please Please Me and Oh Baby Don't You Weep by James Brown. We did Good Lovin' by the Young Rascals. We did Hold On I'm Coming by Sam and Dave. We had a big hit there for a while called You Don't Know Me by Ray Charles. And we had a lot of success with the record, and we're actually trying to put out another single on it called Why Don't You Build Me Up, Buttercup.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you build me up?
Sure.
So I had a lot of fun because I actually went back and I did songs that I cut my teeth on in high school. So that was a lot of fun doing that record. And I was excited about doing the 4 new songs with Dickie's label, Big 7, because you know, I got the guitar player was a guitar player, because he plays lead guitar for Leonard Skinner.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
done a lot of shows with him, and these guys, I don't know, I think the new country are just a lot of guys that played, you know, if you think about Vince Gill, he was a pure Prairie League, and Garth Brooks was in a rock band, and I get to meet Billy Ray Cyrus, who I used to like. I mean, so many people were knocking him for doing Achy Breaky Heart. I never knew that country was so anti-Billy Ray Cyrus on Achy Breaky Heart, because I thought it was a really cute song, and it was a real bubblegum, and it reminded me of Baby Hold On.
Oh, did
Which,
really?
you know, it was just it was kind of like, you know, a bubblegum hit, but, you know,
Sure.
I mean, Baby Hold On was like top 2, top 3, and 2 Tickets wasn't really as big, but now we do this new version of 2 Tickets with Vince Gill on it, and these, you know, really great musicians.
I was going to ask you, did Vince, had he done your songs? I mean, when he was doing, you know, coming up?
I don't think he actually did, but the way we start 2 Tickets to Paradise is great because he started off on the same chord that they did all the Hard Day's Night on. Somebody hit this chord and went, gwang, or whoa, it's been a hard, and they went right into 2 Tickets to Paradise.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. You know, he had that great 4 CD set that just won the Grammy.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
really
that on
covered, he
television.
covered a lot of his influences and really cool stuff, and it sounds like that's kind of what you're delving into too, going back and
Right, I mean, I listened to Vince Gill a little bit, not too familiar with a lot of his stuff, but I just love his wife. I think Amy Grant
Oh,
is,
yeah.
you know, I've always been a big Amy Grant friend.
Absolutely.
You know?
Now tell me how you and Vince kind of got together and how you got together with
I met Vince about 3 years ago. We wound up doing something for somebody, and he was nice enough to sign an 8x10 for my sister-in-law. So he was definitely in my in-laws' good graces, and he was just a sweetheart of a guy. And just to have him, he knows Tommy Worth, and to have him come down, and I've always loved his voice, and he harmonizes great, and our voices are very unique. We sound really good together.
Really?
For a kid from Brooklyn and Vince from God knows where, we just, you know, we just hit it off and had a lot of fun, you know.
That's very cool.
And he's such a gentleman, you know. He's just a great guy.
But Tommy Worth is...
And he's got Uggs. We got Uggs boots, you know. So I guess our wives dress us pretty good, you know.
And Tommy Worth, who's co-producer on the project with John Fortcoli, helped to orchestrate
Putting
getting
everything
the
together.
two of them together, yeah.
Right.
Tommy Worth is, believe it or not, Vince Gill opened up at the Wild Horse, and Tommy played behind him. I guess Vince had a date or something he had to do, and Tom Worth met Vince Gill several years ago, and Tom Worth was signed to the Big 7 last year, and then when Tom's always been a great fan of Eddie's, and then we flew Tommy out to California last year, and Eddie was doing a benefit for some school, going in there and signing autographs and for all these kids in a minority district and a minority school, and met Eddie. Tommy and Eddie just kind of got together, and Eddie, you know, Tommy's like, hey kid, you know, and Eddie's like, hey kid, you know, and it was like a father and son kind of a thing, you know. And then I told Tommy, hey, I think I finally convinced Eddie, right, to come to Nashville and do some stuff. He goes, hey man, if you can do that, right, John Forcoli, who just produced my last record, right, I think he would love to do something, and maybe I could call